Testing, testing.
The historic committee that's ruling on the Seventh Ave design things.
Hi, Michael. Did we,
Before we get started, I have some minor reviews that what's your availability for Friday?
Friday?
This Friday, yes.
Yeah, 1 second. I think I'm probably pretty good. So I do have a date with my wife that evening, but during the
No, 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 come on. That's
but during the day, I'm
Valentine's,
fine.
Valentine's Day. I know your day will be in the evening. I'm asking for a morning review during any time in the morning is good. I'm not talking of evening.
Yeah, I'm good in the morning.
Okay. I have like about five minor reviews.
Five. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, they're mainly solar roof, HVAC system. So I will send the plans to you probably tomorrow. That way you can see them before. The representative from PRS has already gone on site on their own, looked at it. So I didn't know how you wanted to handle this. You want me to do a Zoom meeting with this, or you want to do it on site? I don't know. So
Okay. Why don't you send me the addresses and the plans, and then I mean, I like going on site for those things, but if we
okay. I mean, I'm open. It'll be up to you. I think we can actually do on site for all of them. I'll send you the cases, the address, and then you just please tell me exactly what you want us to do, either a
Okay.
Zoom or on site. And then
Perfect.
that's how I will need to inform the applicants tomorrow.
All right. Sounds good. Um,
Okay.
So we have someone on the line identified as iPhone. Could you tell me who you are?
Can the person here as the iPhone, who is this, please?
There's Damon. Hey, Greg and Lou, if you don't mind coming off mute. Hey, Greg, good to see you.
Hey,
Hi.
Can everybody mute until when you have to speak, please? So
Well, I
that
just want to do a roll call real quick so we can get the meeting started. And I think I see Damon. Oh, Rachel's connecting, and I know Jim is going to join. So, hey, Rachel. Hey, Damon. Hey, Lou. As soon
Hello.
as we get Jim on, we'll go ahead and start. I know we have a quorum right now, but I think he's going to join in just a minute. And then the person identified as Eric W. Could you give me your last name, Eric?
yeah, hello everybody. Name's Eric Wiest, Wiest.
W.
Purchasing IEST. Currently under contract to purchase 717 North 7th Ave.
Oh,
So
okay. All right. Well, welcome.
Thank you. Just wanted to kind of hear how that went. So
Okay, cool. Okay, Jim, are you on? Hey, Jim and Rachel, if you take off mute, we'll go ahead and do a quick roll call. We got a quorum. It's
Okay.
all right. Welcome everyone to the West University Historic Zone Advisory Board meeting of February 11th. It is 6:03 p.m. As we get started, we are recording for those who just joined us. Let me do a quick roll call. Jim Glock,
Present.
Rachel Sarah,
Here.
Lou Specknagel,
Here.
and Damon Turner,
Missouri.
and Rick McDonald present. So we have a full house tonight. Thank you all very much. So we have a quorum. We can get started on our meeting. Let's start real quick with the LAR from our last meeting. Did you all have a chance to take a look at it? Can I have somebody make a motion to approve? If so,
Damon motions to approve.
thank you, Damon. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Jim Glock will second.
Jim second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Rachel, aye. Raise your hand. Yep, thank you. Debbie Evanchek, are you representing 901 North First Avenue?
Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Oh, okay, sorry, I thought I was muted. I am representing, this is for Seventh Avenue, and I am representing a Realtor representing the buyer.
Oh, okay, got it. All right, so you're Seventh Avenue. Okay.
And sorry, before I was on an iPhone, I was driving, and now I'm on my computer.
Okay, well, welcome.
That was me.
And I see Kaylin is here, also Seventh Avenue. All right. Item 3 on the agenda, call to audience. Michael, did we have any call to audience?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And okay, so now we're moving on to item 4 on the agenda. And for item 4A, I don't guess I see anybody representing 901 North First Avenue.
I've not seen them, but I did send them a notice. They confirmed that they'll be here. So, Mr. Chair, maybe we can move to the next item. If they show up, we can take it out of sequence. I don't see them here.
Okay. All right, let's just go ahead and do that. So we'll move, right now I'm just going to mark not present as of yet. And we'll move on to item 4B on the agenda. SD 0823 00090, TCRES 0923 07805 717 North 7th Avenue. So we have several folk interested in that property. Kaylin, are you going to be doing the speaking tonight?
Yeah, I wanted to run through the conditions that we want to try to clean up.
Okay.
Let
Um,
me make you the co-host here. You should be the co-host now.
Should I click shared screen now to show you stuff?
Sure.
See Maria joining.
Hey, 1 second. Can you help me out? Share the screen here.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, looks like you got it.
So, Mr. Chair, I don't think that staff needs to make any introduction here because you are all very familiar with this project. You reviewed it many times. We have done site review on this, so you have all the plans and every information that you need.
Thanks.
Yes, I agree.
But if you need any information from staff, I am here and Maria is here. So one of us can always respond to your any question that you may have.
Okay. I feel, let me just pause for just a second. I feel as though, to your point, we have discussed this enough, but I want to give the board just one more chance. We have the material. I'm sure we've all looked at the material. We're familiar with the property. And I think we understand what the purpose of tonight's meeting is with respect to this. If anyone on the board has any questions for Michael, now would be a good time before we get started. Yeah, Jim.
Yes, I noticed this is dated 20/05/2026.
Oh,
Nice find.
Well, you probably wish it was there.
It's a
That should be
typo.
behind you.
I think it's a
You're
typo.
not. You're in front of us.
I can get that fixed, but this is my package that was submitted. See how we can get that corrected.
all right. Any other questions from the board before Caitlin gets started? Okay, go ahead.
So to run through these conditions, condition one was, it looked like we were trying to clean up the package from the original, which states that the front door facade of the main house and the south side door of the main house be a 6-light craftsman style door. Original package that was submitted didn't have that. Architect cleaned that up and resubmit it, which is this material. Is this door, and that's what is installed.
Are you saying it will be installed or it is installed?
It's always been there. It's installed.
Oh.
Those are the doors that are there. And you can kind of see it right here in this picture.
Oh, yeah. Could you scroll down again to that door, the picture of the door?
Yeah, this one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, 6-light wooden door,
craftsman style.
craftsman style, perfect. Okay.
And then, Michael, you asked the architect to add the fireplaces in the site plan, which he did. So the main question at hand here was more along the lines of condition 4. We can address. So the rear detached duplex shall not be stuccoed. So the reasoning behind it being stuccoed, and Rick, I met you out there, we kind of went over it. The previous duplex unit, the original duplex had masonry, exterior walls were exposed. The original bricks were painted, which, bricks aren't even supposed to be painted, but so this place was actually built, the duplex was built in 1941. The historic overview neighborhoods were classified as historic from 1890 to 1930. This was built in 1941. It's a contributing historic. The bricks were in bad shape. Let me get some pictures. I wish I had better pictures of the brick itself when I bought it, but you can get an idea. So trying to explain the reasoning behind it getting stuccoed. So the original brick there was multiple bricks. We had some red brick in there. There's gray brick in there. You can see right here at this windowsill. Are you seeing my mouse?
Yeah.
It was bad shape after removing the windows and doors. There was even in worse shape. They had removed, before I purchased it, this portion on the top and put an overlap of a piece of wood. So there was multiple reasons. So one, per historic guidelines, damaged brick, it says, so siding defect also per guidelines, structures, we should not add new brick per guidelines, siding not acceptable, so I couldn't put siding, there was siding on the other side of it. Also per guidelines, structures should not give a false pretense of historic significance by adding today's unmatched brick. Was another particular reason. Per guidelines should not be sandblasted. So for me to sandblast this deteriorating brick and then add new brick to it, I don't know how I would ever get that to match. If you look at the record picture of it, which is right here. Oh, I've seen record pictures of it with brick, and then I've seen this one that looks white. So you can see the top. I brought it back to more like the record picture as much as possible. Let me get this picture out of here. Oh. Junior. Sorry, let me. I brought it back to more of the original with the regular roof line. And the reason why I was being stuccoed is because for me as a builder, it just needed to be stuccoed. I couldn't match the brick. I couldn't get the old paint off. I tried to keep it as much as to look like the original structure from the pictures that I could find, the record pictures. This is the reasoning behind it being stuccoed. And I've met people out there and I've been trying to address this. Jim, what's the matter? So these are the reasonings behind stuccoing the duplex. And I've been trying to address this since July. There were so many different violations on this property. I mean, my brother's a fire captain. I had him out here. He couldn't even believe the property wasn't flagged. There was a fire hazard. There was many things that I brought back up to code and took care of all the violations. This stucco was done prior to my meeting. These are the simple basic reasons why this place was stuccoed. And even in the guidelines, it says stucco is allowed. You don't want shingles. You don't want to mimic the brick with new brick. These were the reasons and why. As far as the guidelines, so condition number, I believe 5. Condition 5, the porch roofs with clay tile on the rear detached duplex shall be reconstructed as shown in inventory form. Applicant needs to sustain and revise plans. We revised the plans. And as far as the shingles go, when I purchased the property, the roof tiles, there was few roof tiles, clay tiles that were actually even on there. I mean, here's a porch right here. There was a few in the back. This, in reading through the historic guidelines, 717 North 7th Avenue is a Queen Victorian. It's a Queen Anne. And Spanish clay tiles, Spanish colonial. It says right there in historic that any guest or structure that's built after the fact of the main house should complement the main house, which is a Queen Anne. To put clay tiles on it, the Spanish colonial, it made no sense to me. There was no clay tiles really on here. I couldn't find any proper clay tiles that wouldn't just catch all the bushes, trees, bird nest. But bottom line is, to me, it doesn't belong on a Queen Anne Victorian. So that my reasoning behind those porches was because of that. And I went with the corrugated metal, which will rust, which matches the neighbors, matches other stuff in the neighborhood, and it complements the main house. That's the reason behind that. And here's so the package has been updated completely with the door and the galvanized metal. The only other condition that we wanted to question is number 6. The replacement doors on the rear detached duplex shall have a 6-light Craftsman style. The previous duplex doors were a single light. Which was this. The reasoning I put the 3-light, these, is because I wanted them to match the single family guest house and the laundry room. Not to mention, you can't see them from 7th Street whatsoever. You can barely see them from Echo unless you're looking over the fence. And that's the reasoning behind that. So those are those conditions that I've been wanting to address. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them.
Yeah, this is Damon. I was gonna ask. I just wanted to confirm what year the guest house or casita was built.
I'm sorry, what's that?
What year was the guest house built?
I believe in the 90s, which I complete that thing had an open permit on it for 25 years. No one ever addressed it. I got in there and finished inspections and everything. I believe it was built in the 90s. I believe.
In the 90s?
So it's not a contributing structure?
It is a contributing structure.
What are we talking about? The guest house? The single family guest house in
Didn't
the
you
middle?
say earlier it was built in 41?
The duplex is built in 41, correct?
Oh, sorry. I must be getting.
You said the single family guest house.
So the inventory sheet says 1914.
It's built in 1941. The main house was built in 1914.
Okay, not a problem. Where did you get that date?
Where did I get that information from?
Mhm.
This is all online. My realtors got it for me.
I guess what I'm trying to understand is whether or not the property we're discussing that was stuccoed, whether or not it's contributing or not, because that's
It is
a very
absolutely
important thing.
contributing. It is listed. If you were to go on the historic map, it's there, 1914.
The Pima counties show 1941 the duplex was built.
I guess we would need some sort of adjudication on that because it matters a lot. If it was built in 1914, it's contributing, as Jim says. The inventory form seems to indicate it was built in 1914. If it wasn't built in the period of significance, then it wouldn't be considered a contributing property, which makes a big difference. So I think what we have to go off is the inventory sheet, which says 1914. So I'm going to assume it's a contributing property. And on the inventory form, it shows some of the features, including the tile roofs over the doors that you're talking about. It talks about brick walls painted white. So the information we have to go off of indicates that it's a contributing property with those features.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to understand if somebody from the city or somewhere else is going to tell us that's not true. But assuming that's not the case, I think the
Yeah.
board would take the position we've taken in the past.
Yeah, I don't know where this miscommunication or the information that it may be incorrect as far as the dates. Regardless, we've been assumed it's always been contributing from the very beginning, regardless. I'm looking at it right now and it says, it says 1914. I don't know if they're reflecting that to the main house or not. Regardless, the stucco, the place has been stuccoed for the reasons it has been stuccoed. The date it was built doesn't change the reasons why it was stuccoed today. The goal was to keep it as close as possible to the picture that we're all looking at, on the card. And also going off the guidelines, the historic guidelines, it says do not replace bricks with today's bricks. It says don't sandblast. It says don't paint it.
What historic guidelines are you referring to that say don't replace bricks?
The historic guideline package. It's the historic guideline package.
Which paragraph?
That paragraph would be,
'Cause I happen to have that in front of me.
you didn't go.
I mean,
Kaylin, I think what we're struggling with is you're saying that the information on the city's website is incorrect.
As far as what?
The
date?
Couple things. It
Yeah.
is listed as a contributing property. I think we all agree with that.
Yeah, from the beginning.
Period of significance for our neighborhood goes back to 1930. So 1941, it would be strange if it were listed as a contributing property, unless the city made a mistake.
If you guys can hang tight for 1 second, my realtor's right here. Let me just grab her. She's a medical coder, so she digs deep for research, but we could find that out, then also
we need to probably find out. Yeah, you're introducing some information, and the guidelines for West University. Correct me show me the paragraph if I'm wrong, but
I'm trying to pull it up.
anything about not replacing bricks that are damaged.
No, it specifically says to repair and repoint,
Yeah.
not replace. That's a completely different situation.
It says, okay, so it says in the guidelines, siding not acceptable. Also per guidelines, structural should not give a false pretense of historic significance by adding today's unmatched brick. It's like paragraph 6.
Paragraph.
Well, it says 6 on, I only have the picture of it.
I think we may be talking about different guidelines, but I think the key
don't know
word
if
there
guidelines are
is
referring
unmatched. There's lots of precedents in the neighborhood for people repairing brick structures.
These are the guidelines right here. These is the historic guidelines that I was given. I'm looking at it right now. It says when materials are replaced, additions are made to a property, wood and stucco surfaces should be painted, should not be painted, and masonry surfaces should be left their natural color, not painted. If they have not been stuccoed, colored stucco is acceptable. Brick, mortar, and banding pattern must match original. So that was the one I'm referring to.
I'm not sure you're looking at the West University guidelines.
Yes.
Michael, can you help us in any way on the, this is a contributing property. Kaylin is saying it was on the inventory sheet says 1914.
Mr. Chair, members of WUSA, if you let me, I can share the inventory forms for each of the 2 structures that we're talking about. Just
We're
give me
only-
1 second.
Maria, we're only talking about the inventory form for the duplex.
The duplex, okay. Just give me 1 second.
I have the inventory form right here with a picture I showed.
I know I have it up too, but we'll let Maria.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
Maria, I think the question is, Kalen is saying he has information. Yeah, thank you. That says it's not 1914.
So this is the photo of the duplex.
Yeah, I understand. And it's
And
1914 on it.
and it's the address 717A and 717B,
Right,
North 7th Avenue.
right.
And then I see down here significant dates 1914.
Correct. And
And in
Kalen,
present use residential duplex.
correct. So Kalen is saying that that date is incorrect.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying that was incorrect. I was told that the house was built in 1914 and then the duplex was built in 1941. The information that was given to me by my realtor, that's
Kalen,
incorrect.
I hope you appreciate, if you have data that,
Yeah, I mean, later, if you just give me 60 seconds, maybe I can just grab that for you real quick. If not,
Because if you
regardless,
can see, by the way, Kalen, since Maria's got it called up, the main house, the date for the main house is 1908.
yeah. Yep,
So
maybe
the
she was,
duplex
maybe she
and
gave me the
main house have
information
two
from the
different
wrong
dates,
house.
both of which are in the
Regard-
period of significance.
Yeah. Regardless, we've always went about this thing as if it was a contributing as it was historic from the very beginning.
Mhm.
The fact that I deviated from the stucco is the reason why we're here today, trying to explain my reasoning why. The dates
Actually,
that I
that's
might have
stucco and
mixed.
then the doors as well.
Yeah,
You
the doors
deviated.
on the duplex, which you can't see from the street regardless. Yeah.
Regardless, no, okay.
Mr. Chair, one of the reasons we actually asked for inventory form for all this contributing property is particularly for this kind of cases. So we in the Historic Preservation Office, we go by the days that are on the Arizona Historic Inventory form. We do not go by it. People just tell us that these days. So I think
I lost you guys.
for the purpose of this review and this discussion, let's use the dates that are on the inventory form.
I might
There we go.
add, and
Sorry.
this is important in a way as well. If that house were built in a more modern time, the 1940s or 1950s or whatever, the composition, the material, the chemistry of the brick would be different than if it were built in 1914, as the inventory sheet says. I mean, my house was built in 1908, or I'm sorry, 1918. And we had to spend some amount of effort to make sure when we were making repairs to the brick in our house to mimic as best as possible the mortar and the cement. It wasn't cement, but the other materials, so that they wouldn't degrade the brick, because there's modern Portland cement is incompatible with that old material. And so it does actually matter if that brick that you stuccoed over is from 1940 vice 1914. Well, chemically that's different.
Did you have paint on your brick?
It's kind of irrelevant. The point is that it's a contributing property. We told you not to stucco it, and you chose to do that regardless. And so no, that needs to be remedied. Putting cement plaster on a brick, which we told you over a year ago, would damage the brick and compromise its structural integrity, is really the issue that we're here about, because that's what this board is doing, is protecting its historic inventory. And when someone chooses not to follow those guidelines and those rules or XYZ, it then damages the inventory of the neighborhood. And the reason the neighborhood has the prices that it has and the prestige that it has is because it has that historic significance, and you're taking that away. Period.
Yeah.
And also the inventory sheet also shows the Spanish tile, which we also requested. And so you can say that these other things are allowed, but that's not what was reviewed. That's not what we told you to do, and you chose to do something else. So that's why we're here now.
Right.
Yeah, I'm quite aware of that. Yeah, that's why we're here.
And a third thing that you brought up, which you did not propose at our original meeting, was that you have relatively modern looking fiberglass doors put on that property. And we asked for 6 light Craftsman wood doors, which is what the guidelines call for.
Are you talking about the main house?
No, I'm talking about for the duplex.
Yeah, okay.
And specifically said that because you hadn't picked doors, that we wanted a minor review and of those doors before you installed them, and that was not adhered to either. So now we have doors that are a material that is not allowed by the guidelines.
Yeah, if you go back to the videos, they agreed that fiberglass would be fine.
There's no agreement.
Absolutely not.
No,
That's not.
That's in
material
direct
we allow.
violation of the Western University Historic Zone guidelines. Fiberglass specifically for doors is not allowed. And Pierre, no one would have agreed to that. We certainly didn't. If you go back to our video, you don't see that. And if you were to look at the PRS video, which I did look at a few days ago, they did not agree with that either. So we kind of have 3 issues: the stucco, the doors.
What do you guys propose to do with the stucco? At this point, what do you guys propose? No one saw this place as it was being built, the damage of this, if this brick, it needed to be.
So Kaylin, I think,
Okay.
yeah, I understand that it was damaged, and as you probably can appreciate, because I know you're in the business a little bit, historic preservation is difficult and sometimes expensive, and there's absolutely ways to repair masonry to the standards that it was built back in its original form, and that's part of what historic
If it's painted, it's definitely a little different. If there's missing block that you can't match, is different. How do I get the paint on?
There, and I believe we did say this back in 2023, that those materials are still available. There are places even in Tucson that inventory that stuff. Historic brick, when the brick was taken from my house, when we did a little bit of demolition, that went into a company that resells that stuff for folks that are in your situation. And the way to repair some of that stuff is well understood and is being done in historic preservation all around, not just Tucson, but all throughout Arizona. So look, here's where we are right now. You got to ask not to do that. Did it? The doors that you installed, we asked that you do a minor review before you pick the doors. That was not done, and you picked material that is specifically not allowed in our guidelines for historic reasons, for historic preservation. And then we specifically asked, as did the PRS, as did the letter you got from the city, that those tiles, which are in the inventory sheet, be replaced, that a similar style be used. And that is what was approved by the state of Arizona when that property was added to the list of properties in our inventory for the HPZ and on the National Register of Historic Places. Okay, so you put corrugated steel on there and you use fiberglass doors, and we've got this stucco, which unfortunately, because I think the method that was used to put the stucco on included penetrating the old bricks with nails or some kind of fastening material to put wire mesh and
this was there was wire mesh where cracks were significant cracks were and around the windows.
Yeah.
And where there was plywood.
Our experience, especially if this building is in fact from the 1914 era that the inventory sheet says, means that in addition to not being representative of the historic inventory, to Rachel's point, it also probably put at risk the integrity of that brick substrate, because that material is not That's
What kind of materials on there? Because
What-
when you were there, you were calling it out incorrect. That's sand, lime, and cement.
right.
So what
Right.
is it then? You're doing the work. You should be telling us.
I just did. It was sand, lime, and cement. It wasn't a bag of Portland premix.
I think
So
that,
if you understand that you shouldn't be putting Portland cement on there because it would be damaging,
I
and we
didn't.
were specifically told not to do that, why you chose to do that. And now you're acting like we're holding you back when you specifically, I mean, verbatim, we're told not to do something and you chose to do it.
Yeah, okay. What do you, what we suggest at this point to deal with the stucco?
so
Uh,
I guess that
at this
from
point?
my perspective, I don't know that that's really the purview of this board. I mean, I would
No.
defer to the chair, but it's not our purview to say like how to do something. It's really our job to
Well-
approve or disapprove things. So,
Yeah, I
I mean,
understand.
you've kind of got yourself into a problem here based on decisions that were made and guidance that was given. But I think this board's function is really to approve or not approve of proposed changes. And so I
Mhm.
think really what we're being asked tonight is, do we approve of these changes? And I mean, we should
Yeah.
probably be looking at them as if they're not done yet and they're being proposed. And I think what you're hearing from the board is reluctance to accept what you're proposing.
Yeah, I don't see any practical way at this point to remove stucco on that property. I wish I would have had better
So-
pictures of all the missing the cracks, the missing blocks, all of that.
The pictures wouldn't have done any good because you didn't have approval.
Mhm.
You could have come back to us with pictures, but that didn't happen. You went ahead and did the
Yeah.
work without approval.
I have a question because on the records, this is Debbie Evanchek and I'm a realtor. So on the records that I have, so you have the three buildings have three different year builds. So the main house, from what I'm showing, was built in 1913. Then you have the two-bedroom little guest house, that's 1980, and then you have an effective year on the duplex building, which you're all talking about. And from the records on that one, I show an effective year of 1941.
So
That's what I have.
excuse me, Debbie, I'm not sure you're following what we had said earlier about that. So let me just kind of come back to that. And I think Michael had said this as well. I don't know what you're looking at. And it is helpful information, but I will say that from a historic preservation point of view, for this board, which is chartered by the city, we go by the inventory sheets that were created when the HPZ was created in the first place. And in the inventory sheets that the city has on record, as do we, the main building is 1908 and the duplex is 1914. That's what the city has on record. That's what the inventory sheets say. That's what the state of Arizona has. And that's what the National Register of Historic Places has.
Okay. So I guess it would be digging a little further. I mean, 1914, 1941, I just wonder if there was a transposition of two numbers, but that's just looking.
So yeah, and what Damon was getting to at the beginning when he was asking a little bit about where Kalen was getting the 1941 number, it is important to us. I mean, there are times when we're doing our job from a historic preservation point of view to kind of dig into if somebody's got information that's valid and different than what the city has or what we have or whatever, that certainly factors into things. So I don't know where you're seeing the numbers you're seeing and what the origin of that is, but I am, we've all looked at these inventory sheets a number of times and the dates, the newer building is not of importance to us. It's non-contributing. It's not a historic building, and it's certainly out of the period of performance. period of significance, sorry, but 1908 for the main building and 1914 for the duplex are what are on the inventory sheets. And that is what was done and registered with the state, with the Park Service in 1980. And that's the way it's been recorded. And that's the way
Also part of what you're supposed to be submitting for your historic review. So it's information that you should have as part of this process.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chair, members of WUSA, I'm gonna share my screen again, if I may.
Sure, Maria.
Okay. So I'm here at the Pima County Assessors
That's where I got
website,
mine.
and I'm looking here at different construction years.
Yeah.
That's where I got it.
Yeah, the duplex, it says 1941. But again, you know, that's information they have.
So Maria and Michael,
Mhm.
I mean, what do you want your historic commissions to do? You've got county information that is different than what is in the city database and is different than is on the inventory sheets.
Mr. Chair, members of WUSA, we are, you know, we need to abide by the inventory forms that are part of the National Register. Those were the ones approved by the state. If the applicant would like to contest that day, they will need to contact the State Historic Preservation Office.
Chippo?
So for the purpose of this review, staff is saying that the board should consider the years on the inventory form, just as noted.
And that's kind of Kaylin and Debbie. That's what our guidance from the city compels us to do from a historic preservation point of view. If there's a conflict, which there may be, then, and that's kind of why Damon was asking the questions at the beginning of the meeting, just, you know, it's got to be, it's not the board's responsibility to adjudicate that, but it is something that you can pursue. And nonetheless, I will say the inventory sheets, whether the date of it would be strange that the state of Arizona would agree that that is a contributing property if it was built in 1941. So they may have wrong information or whatever, but I mean, the period of significance is pre-1930 for this neighborhood. So there's obviously somebody's wrong, and it could have been, you know, I know Debbie, you made the comment that the 1914 could have been transposed from 1941, and vice versa. The county could have transposed 1914 to 1941, I guess. I mean, right. I don't know.
And Mr.
But
Chair,
I can also say we're bound to follow the guidance that we obtained from the city of Tucson.
Mr. Chair, members of WUSA, yes, I agree with that statement. I'm looking at another property card from the county that they used to maintain back in the 60s, I believe. And I'm reading in this card date of construction for the duplex of 1933.
1933.
So let me share. So I'm guessing during the nomination of the National Register, you know, some further investigations were done.
Yeah.
And that's how the 1910s were selected as the period of significance.
Yeah, I saw those. These are like the plans.
Yeah, so if you see here, date of construction, 33, and then somebody scratched off the 1941.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so they were having issues, I guess, determining the date. So that's, you know, something that the applicant will need to
Yeah.
clarify with the state at this point.
But the concrete itself in that duplex for the foundation does not appear 1914. But there's obviously some conflicting stuff here. I've always treated it as it was historic. Obviously, people aren't happy with me in historic because I deviated from the stucco. I deviated, but I have a video, which I'll pull up, that during a meeting regarding wood doors, that someone in the historics comment was that we need to start being more responsible after looking at all the doors and pictures that I was showing of them just deteriorated, wood windows deteriorated, that we should be more responsible material wise. And the fiberglass was approved. It's simple enough to change a door if that's really what we need to do. The main thing I think right now, especially for the buyer, is he going to be stuck in some kind of conflict with you guys for the next 5 years? Or what do we do? I took a step I shouldn't have took. I took a step that I would do again, because that structure in my mind of 20 years of doing what I do needed that structurally. You know, if it was a 200-year-old building, I can see why, you know, Rick would say, we're going to take the time, we're going to find the right bricks, and we're going to match them. These bricks were deteriorating, not deteriorating where they're crumbling. They were in bad shape. I could not match those unless I got out there, chipped them up, painted them, then chipped some more paint off. It was practical to do what I did. Moving forward, I know it's not your job, but we're just to a dead end. I guess it will be left up to us to figure out how to move forward. Am I in violation? Do you want to file me? I've never had a violation on this due to this. I'm the one who initiated it. I'm not trying to hide anything. From our very first meeting, if any of you go look, before I said I've already stuccoed this property from day one. Nobody wanted to listen. He said, let's pretend you didn't. That's in the meeting. Let's pretend you didn't and move forward. So
the video, and I'm sure my other board members, some of them, that was not what was said at our meeting.
Absolutely, 120%.
120%. It was not. I just watched the whole silly.
Watched the one of the very first one. Watch the video. I have it. I just watched it, and I said I've already stuccoed it. Now, honestly, it was you that said let's pretend that it wasn't stuccoed and move forward.
I think you might be misunderstanding. Yeah, I think you might be misunderstanding the context of that, of something like that that may have been said. Our job is to review things, and sometimes people do work prior to when they're approved.
Yes.
And in the case where somebody has already done something and it wasn't approved, it's our job to review it as if it hasn't been done yet.
Yes, I understand. I get that. But my point is that I've been trying. I understand. For the last 2 years, I've been trying to bring it to light and how to move forward.
Yeah, I understand what your position is, and I think everybody understands what your position is. But like I said, I mean, we're at an impasse here. We could do this all night, which I'm not in favor of.
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to get agreement from the board on the work that you've done.
Yeah.
And so I guess the question is, what are we really trying to do here? Are we trying to come to some sort of conclusion about the work that's proposed? Because the board can make a motion on whether or not we want to approve the work, and I'm happy to do that. Is that where we need to go?
You guys tell me whatever we need to do. You know, we definitely need to look into more when this place was built. There's you know, from day one, you know, we were showing 1941.
That's certainly the prerogative of the owner.
Regardless, the stucco is not going to come off. We can't. I'm not chiseling stucco off the damages brick. So I guess I would have to find the right entity that would be able to answer the question. Where would I stand? I'm not removing stucco. What's the consequences of that? Stucco. You know, we know that you're not agreeing on it. We know this. I've been in multiple meetings. So I'm trying to move forward with what's there. I know not everybody's happy. You know, the fact that this place has had violations on it forever, not one person from the city has called it out. One person from the historic has called it out in the last 30 years. But here we are. I brought all of these things up to par. And then when there's a stucco, I know you guys are just there to do your job, and that's what you're doing. But as far as moving forward, I guess we'll have to figure out how to do that.
Okay, so a couple different options. I mean, it is your prerogative to, see what the origin of the disconnect is between what's on the inventory sheet, which is what we have to go by, and what you see in some of these other records that other agencies have in terms of when that building was built. In any case, if it turns out the building was not built during the period of significance, then it probably shouldn't be a contributing structure.
Yeah, I mean, I only can go off the information that I can get my hands
I
on.
understand
And we,
that.
we, we-
As-
when,
as
you know,
Pima-
especially as a realist, an agent, and we always we base it off of the Pima County assessors, and we based off of those couple sites.
Except in this case, and I think, going forward, if you do this again in another HPZ, in the case of an HPZ, you have to go off of the inventory forms. I think you've kind of seen that. That is the city's position. That is why these exist. So that is what that is. And in cases where there are disconnects, this board has proven time and time again, if you got photographic evidence, you got any other records, we're very open to hearing those sorts of things. If it is, in fact, not from the period of significance, it would change the conversation.
Maybe that's something we need to address.
Listed. I mean, it's currently listed as a historic contributing property, and if it's not, it's not. And that, maybe your buyer doesn't care, you don't care about that, but that would be one of the things that would come from that. In any case, stucco aside, we do not permit in this neighborhood fiberglass doors. That is not allowed by our guidelines. And I'm not sure what guidelines you were quoting, but I can assure you our guidelines do not allow that. On the issue of the clay tile, we asked that the tile that the little roof overhangs be made to match the inventory sheet, which is what made it contributing. If you say it's not contributing, then we treat.
So as far as and I am looking at the historic West University historic guidelines. I am looking at those ones, and I'm referring to those. As far as them being Spanish colonial, I mean, it's besides the simple fact that on the inventory card it has clay tiles. But
That's what we use as a
contradicts
resource.
itself.
So-
I'll still
I
talk
think
to
what I want to help you with a little bit here, so that we're not, I think we're all on the same page. We don't really need to be talking about this all night. We go by the inventory forms. That is the purpose of the inventory forms. We go by the data is in the city's database. That is what we go by.
Why are the historic guidelines put in place if you're saying you don't go off those, because they're contradicting themselves?
They are not.
It says that Spanish colonial should not go with Victorian Ant.
You're referring to some style stuff at the beginning of the guidelines?
I'm referring to the guidelines.
The guidelines are very specific about, there are sections in there about additions, about modifications, about porches, about fences, and all that stuff. And I assure you that
They're separate buildings, whether they're on the same property or not. The style of the separate buildings is applied to each separate building. What we use as our guide when we're looking at how we want the building to be restored is the inventory sheet, which is why that is such an important document.
So look, we can.
Why do they give us a historic guideline package to refer to if it's contradicting you guys?
It does not contradict it. It does not contradict it. It says we can sit here and argue, Kaylin, we can sit here and argue all night. The issue is that you need, we're trying to give you that. We are trying to give you that. The different buildings can be different styles because they were built at different times, 1908, 1914, those are different times. Whoever had this property and built these buildings at those different times decided to build those different styles. Those different styles are significant in the neighborhood, which is why the neighborhood has the value it has.
It's not the way I'm reading it.
All right.
Well, then you should have asked for clarification before you went against the guidelines, which is why you came to our board and requested to have things done. We told you no, and you chose not to follow that. That's not you not understanding the guidelines. That's you just deliberately deciding not to do it. And you've mentioned that multiple times.
Okay, so I think you have a choice of, do you want to pursue a little bit to see whether perhaps the date of significance of that building, the date of the construction of that building is different than what's on the inventory sheets? And can, you know, Maria gave you a couple of places to go. I don't know how you pull thread on that, frankly. You know,
I
that,
think to give some guidance, I think the easiest thing to do would be to get the Sanborn maps. And it will show if that property, if that building existed on that property in the year of that map. And lots of people in the neighborhood use those maps as a resource.
I'm sorry, what's,
oh, the
what kind of
Sanborn,
maps?
are you familiar with that, Kalen?
I'm not hearing it.
Yeah, there is the Sanborn Insurance Company used to generate maps throughout
Sanborn?
the years. Yeah, so there's these things out there, Sanborn maps. One of the resources or the places where you can find access to them is in the. You guys are gonna have to help me out here, but just west of Park, there's a museum, Arizona kind of history museum thing. And
Right.
I only know this because I live in the neighborhood and I did it for my own house. But when you're trying to find out information like when something changed on a property or when a structure was built, those maps can be very helpful. They were developed for insurance purposes, so they tend to show what the details of the property were in terms of like a site plan. So it's got an overhead view and it'll show the main house. And you can see for this house in, let's say, 1907, the Sanborn map will show it didn't exist. And in 1908, for example, it will show it did exist. So with those maps, if you could find a, 1931 Sanborn map that doesn't show this property, for example, that would be an artifact that could be a piece of evidence that this structure didn't exist during the period of significance. And the reason why we keep going back to the period of significance is that's what determines if this structure is contributing or not. And if it's not contributing, the rules are much different in terms of, what you have to maintain and what you don't have to maintain. So we're approaching all of this assuming that it's a contributing structure, which is why we're concerned about features like exposed and tiles over those. A lot of those concerns would go away. I just wanted to make sure you understood that.
Yes, I do. Thank you. Y'all cutting out? We here?
I'm still here. I think Rick might have frozen.
All right.
Hold on here. I did freeze. Trying to unfreeze. We're back. And if it turns out that from the Sanborn maps or from any other reference you find, that building is 1941 or even if it's 1933, which is outside of the period of significance.
What exactly other references would you guys? I mean, we brought 3 of them right now, but we're going off the card, which is understandable. That's what you guys go off of. So
we don't. The problem with some of the stuff that Maria brought up, or you're bringing up, or I'm sorry, Debbie brought up, it's something in a database. There's no, what's the basis of that? Where did it come from? So the Sanborn maps are used, as Damon said, commonly throughout all the historic zones. There are records that can be used for historic reference. And it may be that the thing is improperly listed as contributing, and it shouldn't be.
So the next
Yeah,
step, the next step would be, if it doesn't have historical significance, then is it going to the state of Arizona to get the registry corrected? Would that be the next step?
Yeah, I think if you found that, you'd have to pursue what the next steps are there. And I think what you described is at least on the right track.
Yeah.
I think there'd be all kinds of implications and databases and paperwork kind of stuff that has to happen.
Yeah.
There would be some potential tax implications and that stuff since owner occupied historic homes have a tax benefit. So yeah, you'd have to go through that process to get it removed from the historic register
Okay.
in the event that you could. We believe it's contributing because that's what our source data is telling us. All we're trying to help you understand what your options are. One of them being to contest that. Maybe it's not really historic.
Right. Yeah. Which
Okay.
is kind of what you're saying, but if you were to go to the state and say, well, Pima County says the place was built in 1941 based on their tax records, I don't think the SHPO would really be interested in that information.
Right, but if it was combined with the Sanborn maps, that would then,
It's very compelling. That is, I think you would find to be, if that had definitive information, I think that would be very compelling. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, with respect, like you guys, your property owners or potential property owners or real estate agents, you guys have an interest in this. You can feel free to go down the paths we're describing. I would be surprised if you found that the inventory sheet was wrong, because a lot of research went into all of the paperwork necessary to define the neighborhood as a historic zone. And my guess is they would have done those things, like looked at Sanborn maps and so on to determine whether or not structures were built during the period of significance. But people make mistakes. It's totally possible. Yeah. So it's your
All Damon's
prerogative.
trying to do is tell you these are the options, these are the paths you can go down. Now, that not only influences whether it's contributing or not, which had a different conversation around how we approach some of the things you guys have proposed. It also, if the material that building is made out of was built in the 1940s versus the 1918s, well, that changes a little bit about our concerns about some of the consequences of using the materials that you used, the stucco and the nails and other things, and what that would have in terms of implications of the long-term structural integrity of the brick. Also, regardless of whether it is a contributing or non-contributing property, we would never have approved fiberglass doors. And yeah, we just wouldn't have approved that. That is prohibited by the guidelines. The clay tile, we could have had a debate about if it's non-contributing.
So, Mr. Chair, is the board inclined to say that they should go and do more research and come back to you, or are you?
That is, so we have choices that we could make here tonight. It's 7:05. I want to be careful that we make our choices quickly. You can do a continuance and do research and come back with new information, and we can have a different conversation around the items, the 3 items, numbers 4, 5, and 6 that were on the City of Tucson's decision letter to you. If we were to take the information that we have available to us today, we could do a vote. Damon actually offered to do a motion on what you've asked for, and we can do that. And that's the end of it for us. And then you can go on to the Pima County Plans Review, Tucson Pima County Plans Review Subcommittee, and have your conversation with them as well. And they may or may not have a different opinion. I think the last time you met with them, they more or less agreed with what we said, except for, I think, one door on the main property.
So let me say one thing, Mr. Chair. So according to the code, if you make a recommendation today and they later on get some more information which potentially can change your recommendation, the planning director has the authority to send the review back to the boards. So to think that if you make a recommendation today, that's all of it, that's not true. Because once the recommendation goes to the director, and if the applicant comes up with compelling information, the director has the authority to send the review back to the board for further review before a decision is made.
Okay. So I think what Michael's saying, Kalen, is we can do the board, this board can do a motion based on what you presented. And if subsequent to this meeting, you gain more information, more information that changes our understanding of what's in the inventory sheet, or that, yeah. That Michael is saying the director can redirect you back to us to do another meeting. Or you can just say, now let me go do some research and we can come back in a month, which is the next time we meet.
I mean, we come back in a month, we're gonna be talking about the same thing, correct? I mean,
You would only be coming back in a month. Well, no, the idea would be Debbie and you have reason to believe that the inventory sheet is incorrect.
yeah,
If the inventory, if you can, in the next month, between now and our next meeting, from the Sanborn maps or from whatever other research that y'all can do, prove that to be true, then it at least changes the conversation around the stucco. It will not change our conversation around the doors, for example, because that, regardless of whether it's contributing or non-contributing, you get the same answer. But for the stucco and maybe even for the clay tiles, I have to be careful about how much I speculate. It'd be a different conversation.
well, yeah, I definitely think we should, you know, because just assuming that we thought a date was a certain date, it would give us, you know, I would be on it immediately to find out what that date is, and then, you know, I can respond back to Michael, Tucker, and them and see what we can do. It's just, you know, we can go from there. I mean, I wouldn't know what else to say or do at this point, you know, and I'd say let's definitely try to find out when this place was built. I've never seen a house built in Tucson in 1914 that had concrete floors the way they do. I've never seen one, period. I'm sure there's one out there. I've never seen one. Have you?
I never looked at the floors in the building.
Yeah. I mean, you're pretty
and-
knowledgeable.
and
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah, you have to look.
at this point, I have to say, if the inventory sheet is incorrect, then it's kind of your responsibility, since you changed the building, to just present that to the board. We're pretty open-minded about that stuff once we have evidence. We've used photographic evidence from the past and other things, Sanborn maps, as Damon has alluded to recognize, you know, windows aren't now where they used to be, or buildings weren't there when they used to be. And it doesn't happen often, but it happens. And, you know, people, like you said, like someone said earlier, sometimes records are incorrect.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that first thing tomorrow. I mean, that's all we can do on that.
So are you suggesting you want to do a continuance and just come back to us next month?
I mean, you guys are more welcome to vote and do what you're gonna do. I mean, it's not gonna change anything. It's good. We already know what direction you guys are heading. I mean, we made that clear. I mean, whatever is more productive for all of us, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to make a recommendation to try to get us off top dead center here. I think it would make sense for us to make a motion, and then if the parties here proposing the changes can find information that would have changed our understanding of the situation, then like Michael said, I think somebody like the director has the authority to kind of open it back up, and then they would be back next month anyway.
Right. I'm fine with that.
So with that, I'm going to make a motion.
Awesome.
This is Damon. I motion that we reject the proposed changes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconds. We have a motion. We have a second. Discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Rachel, aye?
Hi.
Aye, okay. Motion carries. All right. Okay, appreciate that. I know this is frustrating, but it is what it is. And you know, if you learn something new, that'd be worth having another conversation. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I see the applicant for the first case is here.
Okay, I have, I see Ryan.
Right.
Yeah, I can you guys hear me?
I can.
I am terribly sorry. I had this set at a wrong hour. I apologize. I'm coming in an hour late, I realize.
Okay, Ryan, is it R-E-P-U-C?
That's correct. Rapucci, Ryan Rapucci with RAH Architects.
R-A-H. Okay, Ryan. Is it just you tonight?
I believe so.
Okay, so we're moving down to item 4A on the agenda, SD 122400129, 901 North First Avenue. And Ryan, do you have material to present?
I do. I have the historical packet that Michael helped us put together.
Okay.
And my participation sharing is disabled right now.
Yeah, I'm sure Michael can correct that. Yeah, Jim.
Just for clarification, did we entertain a courtesy review to this earlier?
No,
I'm not aware of it, but
We
did not.
And forgive me, we had presented a couple of months ago in an informal just presentation.
okay, I might have missed that.
Yeah, and I and I can't remember the exact date. I could dig that up for you guys if
Okay, no, don't worry about that.
I'm sorry.
Ryan, I happen to particularly remember it, and
Okay.
this is not your first time before us, but it may be for many members of the board, obviously the
Yeah,
chairs.
I remember your presentation as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so do I.
Thank you.
So it's just me.
Not to worry. So just in brief, we are proposing a renovation of an existing pool laundry facility as well as a cabana at 901 First Avenue, which is a non-contributing multifamily residence. And previously we had proposed, and I'll scroll down to the document in question. Previously, this was the proposition. The existing structure, and I'm not sure if I need to zoom in, but it is a walled off structure that essentially houses a laundry room and then a minimal cabana area for the pool that's contained within the courtyard of the multifamily structure. Essentially, what we're proposing is to redo that facade. And that facade is going to contain a new laundry structure, as well as kind of a more expanded pool cabana area. And I'll go ahead and scroll up to I'll scroll down to the floor plan so that you guys can see it. So this is the area in question. Here is First, and this is Second Street here. So here's the pool courtyard, and there's an existing laundry area, and our basic area is within this hatched out location. And what we're proposing is a pool lounge contained within that area, and then basically continuing the existing design, providing a wall structure that hides all of that maintains access in the exact location, and then provides for a small laundry room within the confines of the courtyard. And as the previous, excuse me, as I get to the elevations, here's the existing elevation of what is there right now. And then on the following page, we're showing the existing elevation and then the proposed elevation. And it's really maintaining the same character and spirit of the existing structure, except for upgrading the exterior materiality, which is frankly going to be a mimicry of the project that's across the street from us. And if I can find the right page, which is a galvanized fencing material. So we're going to be using that same material, which is found in the neighboring lot across the alleyway, in order to skin this new facade.
The, looking at that drawing, the upper drawing, the artist conception, the grid that you see, would that be steel? What am I looking at there? So you're saying the corrugated is going to be the light gray, and then
correct. Yeah. So are you referring to this kind of the panelized system?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that would be a steel frame structure that was able to contain the corrugated sheeting, just so that we don't have, the typical lap siding that occurs, and frankly in the fencing that's just neighboring. So there's a little bit more architectural aesthetic to it, just to, again, constrain those panels.
Right.
And then the stairs are remaining the same, continuing the railing. Despite us thinking it's a minimal gesture, we're trying to maintain as much as possible so that we don't deviate from the original architecture.
Right. Are you're not changing the stairs and the railing, or is it just?
Yeah, it's going to be the same. You can see in these, and I'll zoom in for you. You can see in these photographs. Yeah, we're going to maintain all of that stair system.
Got it.
This seems relatively straightforward to me. I mean, I think they're.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Jim, go ahead.
I think, I got to enjoy the previous presentation. I think some of the commentary that we made is reflected, and it was just nuance. And so I would move to accept the design as proposed.
You would move, or you are moving?
I'm sorry, I'm moving to accept the design proposal as proposed.
I second.
Is that proposed? But anyway, you can edit that appropriately, please.
I am editing as appropriate. I'm making it all look clean.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Discussion, anyone? Hearing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Okay.
The chair, can you just call names, please?
Rachel, Sarah, aye.
Thank you.
Damon, you're aye.
Yeah, I heard counting the number of ayes, sorry. Okay.
Bruce Nagel, aye.
And Greg Stoner, aye.
I'll just thank the applicant for coming before us with the courtesy review before coming for us for the formal one. Guess what? It works. It makes it come smoother. Appreciate it.
Well,
compared to our last.
I appreciate all your time and your help. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck with that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That it takes us out of 4. Item 5. It's just a repeat of our last meeting. Frankly, Michael, you and I just need to get on the agenda for the next PRS. I mean, I got all the markups. I actually marked up all printed.
Oh, yeah, I've been talking with them. We're trying to get you on the. Are you talking about the design guidelines?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, we're trying to get you in as quickly as we can because there are only like 10 more pages or so left.
It's not even 10. I did it. I was just looking at it. It's not even 10 pages, but yes.
Yeah, we're trying to get you in as quickly as we can.
Okay. I don't think there's anything for us to discuss. We just need to get on the agenda and knock it out.
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay. And that brings us to item 6, staff updates. Michael, Maria, any staff updates?
Michael, do you want to go first if you have something before I start?
You can go ahead, Maria. So.
Okay. Mr. Chair, members of WUSAB, I contacted again the city attorney's office trying to get clarification for not the plan submitted by TEP so far, but the upcoming overhead transmission lines, and asking again if the overhead power lines that run through HPCs need historic preservation review. And the response from the city attorney's office was that the transmissions lines are not site improvements, nor the city's taking responsibility for them. So no historic preservation would be required since UDC section 588 will not apply.
Interesting. Interesting.
If WUSA would like to discuss further, I can invite somebody from the city attorney's office to discuss with the board.
I
was trying to understand it myself, so I went through the code and read the definitions included in the section 588.A, where it says review and approval of all properties, building signs, and structures within an HPC is required for all development. And let me share with you what I'm reading before I just keep speaking here. But I'm reading here, the design review require review and approval of all properties, buildings, sign and structures within an HPC is required for all development and improvements, including new construction or improvements that do not require building permits, right? So just by reading through it, I'm like, well, they should require, right? HPC review. I'm looking at the definition of development. Any human alteration to the state of land, including its vegetation, soil, geology, and hydrology for any residential, commercial, industrial, utility, or other use, such as, but not limited to, clearing, grabbing, or grading of land and structural improvements, e.g. buildings, walls, fences, signs, and vehicular use areas. And then I'm looking at improvements, any on-site or off-site improvements, such as, but not limited to, refuse containers, enclosures, streets, sidewalks, sewer, water, and electric utility installations, drainage and flood control facilities, monuments, or other similar facilities, or developments for which the city of Tucson may ultimately assume responsibility for maintenance and operation or landscaping, screening, or other site improvements required by the UDC or other appropriate city code. So I'm guessing this is the portion of the code that the city attorney's the reason the city attorney's office is letting me know that HPC would not be required because it's not on-site improvements and the utility lines would not be, responsibility of the city of Tucson.
That's kind of, well, I'm surprised by that, but that I believe I'm going to speak for myself, and if anybody else has any questions, that answers what we were wondering was, is this going to come back to us? And if so, what are we supposed to be grading it against? I mean, what you're saying is the city is not going to take this back through HPZ or maybe PRS either, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, that makes our job easier.
And
We don't have to have if that's the city attorney's position, and I'm assuming PDSD takes their guidance from the city attorney's office, then that's that.
That's correct. That's
Right.
what we do.
So, thank you. That's actually answers the question.
And Mr. Chair, members of WUSA, the other update I have is that finally this week, the candidate for the Historic Preservation Office position accepted the offer by the city. I don't have a specific name yet because that individual is still going through the vetting process by HR, like background check and who knows what else. So we don't have a specific name yet, but as soon as we find
But somebody
out,
accepted an offer. Okay.
yeah.
Good.
So hopefully, if everything continues without any issues, we probably will be having this person working at PDST sometime in mid-March.
Mid-March. Okay. Well, thank you. Very informative.
Thank you. And that's all I have, Mr.
All right. Michael, did you have anything?
No, those are the two things that Maria and I discussed. So that's just what we had.
Okay.
The other item which I talked to you off the meeting was the manual reviews that you and I are going to do on Friday.
Yeah.
I'm going to send that to you, and please let me know whether you want it to be on site or
Okay.
set on Zoom.
You're trying to do 7 reviews on Friday?
5. There are 5 of them.
5 reviews on Friday.
I could do 7 if you're up to.
I have a question on the procedure with the City of Tucson portal and all that. So I have a couple different projects where we had to get historic demo permits. Both of those historic demo permits were approved, but now they're still saying that they're pending in historic review, but they're not like a historic review project. They're not inside WUZAB or any of the other neighborhoods. Is that just zoning overstepping, or what do I need to do to get those cleared out? It says that they're assigned to you, Michael. Well, one of them is assigned to you and the other one's still just pending assignment, but both of the historic demos have been approved.
What is the address or the activity number so I can look into that?
I think if we can get an email from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, my assistant sent an email. She sent an email today on both of them.
And that came from you?
From Joan White.
Okay.
And I was attached on the emails too, but one was 1004 Erie Street and the other one was in Fort Lowell area. I have to look up the.
Okay. So we'll take a look. I don't want to take time from the board here to discuss other projects. Not in the agenda.
We've tried lots of times to contact and get nowhere. So I got to take advantage of having people in front of me.
Okay.
Just send the email to us and we'll look at it.
Yeah, she sent emails today on both of those. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll get on it tomorrow.
All right. Any other future agenda items, Michael?
I don't think I have any off the top of my head right now that is scheduled to come to you for review.
Okay.
But between now and next month, I am pretty sure something will come up.
I'm sure we'll probably see Kaylin again. Okay. All right, given that, it is 7:32 and,
And Mr. Chair, Mr. Glock has his hand up
oh, Mr. Glock.
in the screen.
Any
Yes, sir.
update on the historic preservation officer position recruitment?
Oh, Maria just did.
Maria just told you.
Oh, Mr.
Did I
Glock,
sleep at the
maybe.
wheel? Oh,
You
I'm
were asleep
sorry.
at the wheel, yes, you were totally asleep.
So an offer has been accepted, and I don't have a name because HR is still going through the process of vetting this person. But
Candidate
if everything goes okay,
mid-March.
mid-March. Mm-hmm.
My bad. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I got preoccupied.
Doing what? All right. It is now 7:33 and we are adjourned. Thank you all very much. I will
Bad.
see you next time.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
very
Good
much.
work, Rick. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Need to stop.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Michael, can you hang for one more minute?
Sure. Let me
Um,
stop the recording.
So I know you're going to send me the 5